Welcome back to another episode of the Rational Football League show. On this episode, we're going to be discussing NFL media terms we hate and the NFL lottery. I'm Emmett Swore, co-hosting with Brendan Ford. Let's get right into it, Brendan.
Yes, sir.
What is some NFL media terms you hate? These are terms that are used to discredit players, they're used to discredit careers, or whatever it could be. What are the ones you hate the most?
So as of right now, I don't know if it's fair to say this is across the entire NFL media per se, but on Twitter, there's been a huge rise about padding the football regarding like the quarterback, play. So give you all some background on this. A slow-mo video from minicamp of Justin Fields showed him patting the ball right before throwing like an out route to DJ Moore. It was some on air. Who even cares, right?
Yeah, just like whatever.
This caused, it's like a whatever. It didn't even mean anything. They kind of posted this kind of get hype around the season, blah blah blah. Yeah. No, dude, this turned Bears Twitter and even expanded across to maybe the entire like NFL fan base of like, him patting the ball means that he sucks. And like everyone was commenting on it. They're like, oh my gosh, he's patting the ball. This is so bad, whatever. So I actually tweeted that out, and I added the QB school who was ran by JT. What's his last name?
JT Sullivan, former 49ers legend and quarterback.
He's a cool dude. I watched his like YouTube videos. He was like, yeah, patting the ball doesn't really bother me. And then catch this out. Kurt Warner coming at it, and he said, no, patting the ball bothers me. And I was like, bro, what is happening right now? And people like made a little clip of Kurt Warner like patting the ball throughout his entire career. I was like, what is happening?
Did anyone like give an explanation why they hate it? They're like, oh, it's missing. No, they're just like, pat the ball, you suck.
In my tweet, I asked for like both. I was like, hey, someone who knows more about football than me explain, one, why quarterbacks do it. And two, why are some people saying like this is like a bad thing? People kind of gave me more like why they do it is because like a whole like rhythm and timing thing, which is whatever, cool. But then no one could explain why it was like bad, right?
So what's so funny to me about that is if you go watch a baseball game, third basemen do this all the time. They'll field the grounder and they throw it. I mean, it's the same thing. It's so common in baseball. Like usually, you can tell when a quarterback has played baseball before, or even a regular, because they do it. You take the ball and you just pat it and you throw it before you do it. So it's weird that all of a sudden became a big thing.
It's not a big deal at all. Well, one is because it's like Justin Fields gets so much hate, and then two, like people with this, like especially Bears Twitter, like to think they're like the expert of like quarterback play, and they're like, oh no, see he's patting the ball, he's gonna be like a bust. He's gonna suck.
He would have hit that Hail Mary on time if he had just not patted the ball.
Yeah, I know. And it's so funny because JT actually like the following week posted like this like mini clips of like other quarterbacks doing it. Like Aaron Rodgers was doing it, Jalen Hurts was doing it. Almost every single quarterback in NFL passed the ball.
Because honestly, most of those guys normally have played baseball before, and that's just such a common thing. You take the exchange from the glove to hand, and you want to make sure you really have it solidified in hand before you throw it. I think it's a similar thing. It's just a rhythm. It's a timing. You become accustomed to it, and let me make sure I got the ball there, and you throw. I mean, I don't know. I pat the ball when I throw it. I'm not a quarterback, but I think it's just a common thing, and I think I throw a ball okay. I'm not hitting windows and stuff.
Got that cannon, bro.
Except that one time. Sorry, Mom. I broke it.
I feel like if you haven't broken a window like growing up, then you weren't like doing enough like outside stuff. You know what I mean? Like we all have like, yeah, I broke my mom's like window once. Okay,
real quick, I'll tell you the worst one. I was playing catch with my cousin once, and I threw the ball, and as I let go, I knew it was going to overshot. I was like, this is a bad pass. This is over his head. And it's going to hit the neighbor's window and break it.
Right.
By the time the ball hit the window, I was up the driveway and in the house. So when it actually did, it was just my cousin out there. And I watched from the window. He like looked around like, wait, where the hell did he go? I'm like,
he's like, I'm gone.
You're on your own. I read that from the get-go. I knew that was trouble.
Bogus, but funny. But yeah, man, that kind of ends my rant about patting the ball. It's not that big of a deal.
No, I feel like And that's a really good one. I feel like another same kind of vein quarterback discrediter. I really hate air yards. I don't know where the hell this came from. I think it came back a couple of years ago with talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, but out of nowhere, people were like, "Oh, air yards! See, Jimmy throws so many air yards. He must be bad." It's like, do you guys understand? Another thing is targeting. He targets the middle of the field. No quarterback targets any part of the field. You
Right.
understand? Like when you get up to when you get the play from, like, in this case, it'd be Brock Purdy or Trey Lance getting the play from Kyle Shanahan. You get the play and okay, cool. I got a post here. I got a corner route here. I know I got a slant from my outside. I know I got an out route underneath. Okay, cool. You get up, you get on the line, you look at your safeties, you're looking at your backer and go, okay, based on alignment, I'm thinking this is cover 3. I know they're dropping 3. That probably takes away my post corner concept. I don't like that too much because they have 3 guys deep. Let me work my slant under side. Post snap, you get the ball, you look, okay, did the corner drop, confirming that what I thought it's cover 3? Sure as shit he did. Cool, my slant's open, let me hit it right now.
Right, there's like reads. Like
It's exactly it's all A leads to B leads to C leads to, there is no
right.
predetermination. The only time you'll see a predetermination on the field is when they call a play and like, for example, your best receiver, your Calvin Johnson, your Randy Mosses are over there on the left, for example. You got your X receiver and it's a fade route, it's a seam route, whatever it is. And it's one-on-one. There's no safety over top. Usually they'll give a check. They'll give the money sign. They'll tap their hip. They'll rub their hands, whatever these teams and players have for the little code.
Right.
And they know, hey, it's one-on-one. You have no safety help. Burn by him. I'm throwing it up to you no matter what. Beat him because you're my best player. And that's what I expect you to do. It's like in basketball terms, this is ISO. Like that's the only like time you really get up there and it's pre like determine what's gonna happen.
So even from that, it's still based off reads to your
right. It's still
point.
based on the read. You're still basing on, it must be cover 0. I see my free safety's down. I know my corner's pressed up in man, and I know that's my best receiver. Like that, and that's just the standard of you're reading a defense. But you didn't like get into the huddle and go, hey, no matter what, Randy, you're getting the ball in this fade route here. No, again, we can talk about it. Maybe it fluctuates a little bit if you have one of those star receivers. You may feel a little more comfortable in the previous example. We're talking about cover 3 at the post in the corner. You might still feel a little more comfortable to still take that risk and throw it to your Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, Jerry Rice receiver. But that doesn't mean it's the right decision to do or what every quarterback does. And I feel like it's, especially with the 49ers, with how many talented players they have at the skill position, you probably really aren't doing that. You're not really going to sit here and go, hey, I'm throwing it up to Kittle no matter what. When you have Debo open or you have Brandon open or you have Christian McCaffrey open, like why? I feel like maybe they're just not taught. Maybe they don't do that, but why force going to risk that throw when you have other options? Right. So the maybe the correct term, if you're going to discuss the middle of the field or the air yards, is Kyle Shanahan likes to attack the middle of the field. And we can maybe make that inference or that assumption because we've heard Kyle Shanahan talk a lot before about manipulating the eyes of linebackers, messing with the eyes of linebackers. He really likes to just absolutely fool linebackers, get them buttoned up on pass plays, get them dropping back on runs, whatever it is, get them out of position, get them late to a spot. So, I mean, they normally have, if it's cover 3 or cover 2, they normally have the middle between the hashes portion of the field. So that's probably where he likes to attack anyway. And not to mention, again, I know I'm going on an extreme rant here. The outside the hashes, especially the NFL, if you can really specific outside the numbers, I mean that's a 30-yard, roughly 30-yard throw. If your quarterback doesn't have the strongest arm in the world, you're working strictly off of anticipation. And if anything goes wrong in that anticipation, it's pick city. It's what was it? Matt Schaub 4 games straight with interceptions turned for touchdowns.
Did he really?
Yeah, it was like back. I think Kyle Shanahan was the quarterback. It's the record. He had 4 consecutive games with interceptions returned for touchdowns.
That's crazy.
And that's what you open yourself up to. At least if you throw a pick in the middle of the field, you have a lot of your team that O-line's there. You got everyone can converge on the middle. If you throw a pick to the outside, especially like on an out route, you're done. You might as well just walk off the field. Yeah. So that's the term I hate for that. Air yards. Do you have another one, B, at all? Because I got a couple.
I do. Yeah. I have one more for you. So I hate how when a quarterback prospect through high school and a college, right? Mm-hmm. He's almost prized for being a dual threat guy.
Yeah, they got a higher ranking. They got they look at the
high ranking.
Yeah.
coaches love a dual threat guy, right? But when you get to the league, if you're a dual threat guy, you're labeled as a running quarterback, or what people at Twitter and everyone else call a running back playing quarterback. Like the dual threat term ceases to be a thing when like you get to the league, and I just don't know why. Like, why is that a thing? Why are you discrediting a player for being able to do stuff with his legs, be able to extend plays, do awesome plays, right? Think of like the Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, right? Why are they getting discredited so many times for making magic happen out of nothing?
Yeah, with Vic for sure have been labeled a running quarterback if he played in this era. Randall Cunningham, another one, probably would have been labeled a running quarterback if played. Frank Tarkenton, another one, probably would have been. And I think it's a matter of, not per se that Justin Fields is sitting here trying to run with the ball like this is flag football. But I mean, it's a matter of, I think for years now, the Bears haven't had the strongest weapons. And I think a lot of these kind of situations, Lamar Jackson, if you look at him, Michael Vick for a long time when he was playing with in Atlanta versus Philadelphia, they don't have a lot of these weapons. Right. And when you can't trust your weapons to get open and you have this special ability to make defenders and pass rushers miss,
or when your O-line just sucks.
Yeah, your O-line sucks. Or you can't. I mean, the reality is, as a quarterback, you can't drop back and hold the ball for 5, 6, 7 seconds. At that point, you have to run for your life. Right. You have to make guys miss. You might as well just take off. And I think that's a problem that the Bears have had. And hopefully, now that they have a little bit better of an O-line, now that they have a better skill position, maybe we'll be seeing Justin run less. But I also think it's a matter of camera manipulation, perspective. What we see on the plays, we see when the NFL games is we only see the O-line and the quarterback. We can't see are the receivers open and Justin Fields is taken off, or are they getting locked up? And it's like, okay, well, what do you want Justin to do? Throw into triple coverage or throw into a guy that's getting strapped, or would you rather him take off and get 10?
Well, then people say, oh, why doesn't he throw it away? Why doesn't he try to check it down more? Which he can, right? But a lot of those big plays he made,
throws away 3 plays in a row. It's 3rd and 10. You're like, well, why didn't he do anything? Well, you told him to check it down.
Think about that 60-yard touchdown he had against the Dolphins.
Yeah.
That wouldn't happen. He was like, oh, I'm just gonna throw it away, or I'm just gonna throw it to like David here.
Yeah.
Just to check it down. You know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of like a give or take. But yeah, man, that's my final term about the media that I just can't stand right now.
Yeah. I'm going to switch it up from quarterbacks to running backs. And this is a term, and I think a lot of these same issues when we talk about these words come from the fact that maybe fans don't have a full understanding, or maybe, if it's an NFL media member that keeps talking about it, they don't have a full understanding. But it's tread on a running back. Because what the hell does that mean? Like, these aren't cars. They don't have wheels that can replace. Like, they have legs. They heal. What?
They are human people.
Yeah. Oh, he ran for, he had 500 touches last year. His tread's getting low. What is this imaginary tread we're talking about? His will to run the ball, his desire to not get like, what is this tread?
Yeah.
And I think it stems from the fact that we do notice that there is a significant, drop off for running backs. I mean, look at Ezekiel as a great example. I was going to
say Zeke. Yeah.
Yeah. He fell off. And I feel like as fans, I feel like as media people, and sometimes honestly, even as coaches, you don't know why. Is he not hitting the holes anymore? Is he not as explosive as he was? Like, what, it could simply, and this could really just be the simple explanation, has Zeke added weight on to prevent taking more hits?
Like, is he hurt too? Like, is another thing. Like, is he playing hurt?
Yeah, in college, was he 205 in his first years in the league? He was 205, 210, and now he's added on 15 pounds of muscle, which makes him
225, 230. Right.
But he needs that extra bulk because these guys hit harder, hit faster. So to prevent injury, he's added this bulk on, but that makes him less able to hit that little bit of daylight. I think it was Gail Sanders that just said what, I just need 6 inches of daylight to hit a home run. He's just not able to hit that daylight anymore because he's had to add on weight. And I think
that's fair.
And another question could be is what has happened to the NFL running back talent? What happened to the Frank Gores and Steven Jacksons and Adrian Petersons? Is it a matter of that there really just aren't talented running backs anymore, or have more guys that would be labeled as running backs switched to receiver? maybe a key obvious situation here would be Deebo Samuel. 20 years ago, if Deebo played, would Deebo still be an X receiver, or would Deebo be a star running back?
Good point.
That's kind of an example. So more of these guys now go to like safety or outside backer or wide receiver, slot receiver, instead of willing to play running back. But yeah, that's a term I hate. Tread on running backs. They're starting to use it right now for Derrick Henry. Well, he's run the ball a lot. Yeah, he ran the ball his whole life.
Yeah, his entire life.
Everyone else gets the same 5 or 6 months of an offseason to heal up and recover. Why don't we use this term for quarterbacks? He's a lot of tread on that arm. I don't think I can trust him to throw the ball anymore.
You can use that term for almost every
receivers.
Like
you know how hard it is to get breaks.
Linebackers. Dude, linebackers get as much collision per play as like running backs.
Exactly, but we don't ever talk about tread on a linebacker's head. We don't ever talk about tread on a wide receiver's knees. I mean, I've had 3 knee surgeries from playing receiver. Yeah. So I mean, I can attest that it is damaging on the body, but I never hear anyone say, "Well, Larry Fitzgerald's got a lot of tread on them knees, so I don't know if he can." He's got a lot of tread on them hands. The grip is
right. And Larry played for
catching balls.
Larry almost played till he was what, like 40?
Yeah, I mean,
playing receiver, man. So yeah, to your point, that doesn't make any sense. Yeah,
and I think all these terms really do stem from a lack of understanding. People not understanding. Okay, why is Justin Fields not playing to what we think he should? Why does Jimmy keep throwing to the middle of the field? Keep throwing these picks. Why is what's going on? I think we just try to contextualize these unknown concepts by giving them, quite frankly, ridiculous descriptions.
People like this post of like thin air, just like either maybe get like a rise or get like a sound bite or whatever, but it doesn't make a whole lot when people say
it's like terms. Trying to explain rocket scientists to an average person. You can't use the big fancy words. And again, I don't play in Kyle Shanahan's offense. I've never played in Kyle Shanahan's offense, but each offense has different reads. So what might be a read, like I was saying before, of hey, post corner, even if it's like a regular play, like you couldn't discern the coverage, or maybe it's cover 6 where half the field's running at cover 2, half the field's running at cover 4. Drop back and you go through your reads. Okay, I know my 1 to 2 to 2 to 3 to 3 to 4 is I'm looking at the post, not there. Corner, not there. Slot, not there. Okay, let me get down to my check down here. It's never a predetermined thing, but as fans, we aren't privy to that information, so we just try to come up with what we can. But I do want to get into our next topic here. We've seen a lot of talk of the draft lotteries. I know the NBA just had theirs with Victor Wembanyama. I can't
something like that. Like
I can't.
I don't know.
But that next generational prospect. So talk about the draft, the NFL or NBA draft there. I know hockey has a draft that was just very controversial of maybe some rigging or questioning of rigging. I know this past season, Major League Baseball just actually switched over to a lottery to help prevent taking. And I've seen now conversation, at least amongst fans, and I believe there was an article before about could the NFL move to a lottery? Do you feel this would be a good move for the NFL? Do you think it's something that should happen? And why do you think maybe this hasn't played out in the NFL already?
Dude, I'm not a big fan of the lottery system. Maybe because I am a little bit biased. Of course, football is my main sport. I mainly played this sport my entire life. So I guess the way the NFL draft is right now is the way I am used to. And what I'm going to say is a little bit of like a paradox, right? So when I think of, at least for the NBA, right, let's use, I know it's like one data point out of a long string of data regarding the draft, right? And I don't really care about this team, but when the Pistons got screwed over for this past draft, like they were the worst team record-wise this ongoing season, right? Yeah. They're picking 5th. They won 17 games last year. Like, I feel like they got screwed over, bro. Like, that to me seems not fair. And I get why, people say like the lottery is there to kind of prevent tanking, like whatever. Okay, I get that point. When a team as like the Pistons, who won 17 games, and I'm not a big basketball fan, so I don't want to talk outside of my mouth, but I feel like the Pistons have been bad for like the past like 15, maybe 20 years.
Yeah.
right? Like they have not
Not
been
definitely
in
not a
it.
household name. You know, they're not
Definitely, yeah.
competing
They're
for
not like I'm not
Western
watching
Conference
them
or
on
Eastern
the
Conference
playoffs.
championships.
I only watch basketball when it's like the playoffs. I've never seen them. Like I've never seen them in it. And like again, I'm not
What
a
does the
huge
logo look
basketball
like?
fan. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like I know like and that to me just seems so unfair, right? And on the flip side, the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not a huge hockey fan, but living around Chicago, Blackhawks are a team here. I'm watching the playoffs, whatever. They just had like a dynasty run back in like the 2010s, right? And now they got the first overall pick in this upcoming draft to draft some guy like Connor, what's his name, like Bernard or something like that. I don't even know.
We apologize
But
to any hockey fans or NBA fans. Football's our thing. We've lived
I'm a
it. We breathe
football
it.
bonehead, bro. I don't know anything about
So,
any other sports, okay? But to me, I'm like, okay, like I like it because we get like the prize guy, right? But record wise, with the Blackhawks give like the worst team. Like that's what like I don't really get, and I
yeah.
don't know. It just kind of seems lopsided. But E, what are your thoughts on it, man?
I absolutely hate it. I think it's the worst idea ever. I think it's great for driving, another spectacle event. But if you notice the teams that use it, and again, I know we're the Rational Football League. I'm gonna get a little irrational here with this and a little hateful. It's the leagues that are deteriorating. It's the leagues that have the worst viewership, struggle with growth and viewership that seem to want to do this. And to me, why? It's because they have a competition issue. I've never heard of an NFL team struggling to try to, put a competitive product out there. There's only been one accusation, as I could think of in the history of the NFL, of a team intentionally, purposely tanking. And that was the Dolphins a couple years ago. And even at that, Brian Flores, the head coach, refused to go along with it. In the NFL, it's such a cutthroat league of we need wins now. They need wins like they need to breathe. You can't afford to tank because why would you move your family, your whole thing, to go be a coach to get fired after a year because you tanked and did what the owner said? Look at Lovie Smith. They told him before the last week, tank, you're going to lose this game because we want that number one pick. By the way, you're getting fired at the end of the week.
Yep.
So what did he do? He went out and made sure he won that game. It's not a part of the NFL culture to tank and try to lose games. Now you can make an argument of, oh, well, this team here might have done it. They might have, maybe we don't know. But how do you look these grown men, these 53 grown men in the face every day and go, hey, I want you to go potentially lose your ability to walk or get a concussion so we can get a better draft pick. Go lose. You just can't. It's too physical. It's too violent of a sport to sit here and tell people to go out there and intentionally throw games. It's not a thing.
It's not practical.
It's just not
at
practical.
all.
And I think the thing that makes the NFL the most interesting is its parity. There is always a rotating top of good teams. Look at it. And I'll use, as a 49ers fan, I'll use my 49ers example. Most of the 2000s, atrocious, unwatchable, not good. Had hit a few good draft picks in 2007, 2008, 2009 because of our hard draft picks positioning. 2011, 2012, 2013, NFC Championship games and Super Bowls. We missed on draft picks because we were falling back in the draft. They didn't have great options to pick from. We fell off for 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017. Then all of a sudden we get great draft picks again because we stink. We get Nick Bosa, we get Deebo Samuel, we're able to get George Kittle, which I know is a 5th round pick, but you still have more options available to you because you're higher in the 5th round than you would be at the end of the 5th round.
Right.
Where's George go if we pick at the end of the 5th round versus the beginning of the 5th round? You get better selection in each round, and all of a sudden now it's back to NFC Championship games and Super Bowls. I love that as a fan. I don't have to ever worry about the 49ers being a crappy team for 20 years. It's hard to watch a crappy team. It just, you can be the most diehard fan in the world. And that's great. If you want to live your life being miserable watching the same team lose for 20 years,
it's tough
to you. But it's tough. Yeah. It really is tough. And that's why I love that the NFL has that parity, because there's a constant flux of new talent that comes in. Because here's the other thing about it too. I'll use the NBA example here with the Sacramento Kings, since we're located in Northern California. It's been hard for the Kings to attract free agents to improve their roster. Why? Because they suck. Because they had this NBA lottery makes them pick lower. When did their fortunes change? When they finally got a good pick and were able to draft De'Aaron Fox. I think it was in 2017 or 2018, whatever it was. So and if you're a bad team, you can't get free agents to improve your roster to get a better record. So you have to rely on guys that don't have an option to come there. They have to come there through the draft. And so again, you're just you create this eternal bottom and eternal top with a draft lottery. Maybe not intentionally, but it is the effect of it. If you're a bad team, you need that draft to fix teams. Every best player usually comes from the draft. Think if during the Patriot era, right? If we didn't have a draft, let's just take this to the extreme at all. Where would every player sign? The Patriots? Right. What, you know how hard it would be for Cleveland to get anyone to sign for them if all NFL rookies were free agents?
Facts.
Facts. Cleveland would be able to foster or roster a team. So I think it's a horrible idea. I think for those in the leagues, I don't think it's a great idea for them either, to be honest. I think they really need to do some internal investigations and understand why, and some insight, and understand why they have this culture where it could be okay to tank. Because again, I'm sorry, if I played in the NBA and I was 7 feet tall and I had, more than likely was going to have bad knees the rest of my life, I wouldn't want to be out there and putting up losing seasons either.
Right. You don't want to waste time, dude. Right. Your career is only so long. Yeah.
So why would I even as an NBA player want to waste my time on a bad team? So, if my head coach is like, hey, we're going to tank this, so I think those leagues need to, maybe do some, internal review and understand why they have a culture where they could even believe tanking happens in baseball or hockey or basketball, because the NFL is just different.
And it's hard for me even see a professional baseball team as being open to tanking too. You know what I mean? It's just, and to your point, I think the lottery system, it kind of keeps us bad teams down. There's no parity. For example, the Pistons again, right? Mm-hmm. Worst team, they won 17 games last season.
Yeah, which would be going 2-3, going 2-3 in the NFL. Imagine if your team went 2-3 in the NBA in the NFL season this upcoming year. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a great example of a team without a quarterback right now. Say you're the Colts. They start after Anthony Richardson. Let's say Anthony Richardson doesn't work out for whatever reason. Let's use a better example here. Let's use the Dolphins. Tua gets hurt again. He decides to step away. You guys have an awful year, and you end up going, 3-14. You have the worst record, which is about equivalent to a 17-win NBA season. Maybe you get 4 wins, but I don't think that the equation would work out there. And then you think, oh my God, we get to draft Caleb Williams. We get to be a great team. Look, we get a potentially generational quarterback talent, and then you end up sliding to 5th. So now you don't even get the first quarterback. You don't even get the second quarterback. You may not even get the third quarterback. You might have to take the fourth quarterback drafted.
At that point, you probably won't even draft him. The fourth quarterback might have a value of second or third round. You know what I mean? Right. Then either you overpick him, right, or you pick a whole different player that you might not really need.
Yep, and keeping it to a football example here, let's take the Bears for example. Let's say the Bears had the worst record again this past draft. And they get they would get the number 1 pick based on record. But they have a quarterback, they have Justin Fields, so they do what they did, and they trade down, and they get an O-lineman, they pick up more picks to get more players that can help retool that roster. Do the Bears still make those trades if they're drafting 5th?
Right. No.
Where's your leverage? Yeah. Now you're taking whoever you're going to take at 5th.
Might go 5th to maybe 8th. Get some team wants to jump for whatever reason, right?
Think about what happened. We went to quarterbacks in the first 2 picks, quarterback at pick 4. So that would have been Will Levis still on the board, maybe at 5. Levis. So, and he ended up falling to the second round anyway. So
Hooker, Hendon Hooker got drafted at 3rd round.
Yeah. So again, at 5th, you guys have absolutely no leverage anymore to trade back and try to get more picks to retool your roster. Now you just got to take whoever's there. And if you drafted the same position you did, right tackle, you can make a huge argument that that's an overreach. You didn't really improve your roster as much as you could have. And that's another indirect way you're taking potential assets away from these bad teams to rebuild and retool.
There's going to be the same good teams every single season.
Right.
Because those bad teams just can't get the resources.
Yeah, because the good teams can rely on the fact that they're good and sign those free agents, and then, the free agent didn't work out, so you can trade the free agent. Well, if you're a bad team, you can never sign the free agent anyway to make that trade. And then you can't trade down in the draft because, again, let's take the Pistons. Let's say the Pistons already had, a great center that they loved, and they wanted to trade out. What kind of haul could they get for Victor?
A good amount.
Yeah, the next 5 first-round picks from a team.
Right.
LeBron James, maybe, and that's obviously maybe an extreme, but the haul they could get for that pick could really turn the franchise around forever.
Right.
And now you're drafting 5th. Now, no one wants that pick. No one's trading for that pick. No one's desperately dying for the 5th overall pick. That's assets and potential, future wins that have now been taken away from this team through no fault of their own.
Right.
Because certain balls fell in a different way, and now all of a sudden the Spurs have it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why, again, for me, I think it's just it's a perpetual system that keeps bad teams that have limited access to resources anyway bad, and it helps good teams stay good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's a soundbite. Does the lottery system good? Hell no. This is why NFL is king and always will be king, baby.
Exactly. That's why their viewership grows every year. You never have to worry about your team stinking for 20 years. Even let's take an example of a team that currently is, not currently bad, but has been bad. The longest playoff drought, in the New York Jets. The Jets have made the playoffs in, I think, 12 years now or something like that, since 2012. And think how many things have had to go wrong for the Jets to make that happen. From Rex Ryan to Adam Gase to draft, Mark Sanchez to Sam Darnold, the butt fumble, like all the years of bad, clearly bad ownership decisions that had to go into making the Jets stay a bad team for so long. Right. I mean, the only team that's been around, out of the playoffs for any kind of length of time is the Lions. And you can make the same argument there. They fired the coach that got them to the playoffs in 2016.
Right.
So it just, every other team has been in the playoffs in the last 3 years. So again, I think it just kind of further supports the claim that the draft or the lottery system doesn't help teams.
It's just not good.
No, but back in. All right. Well, B, I think that's going to wrap up the episode for this week. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram. We're also on Spotify. It's been a great time with you guys here on the Rational Football League show. Once again, I'm Emmett Swart. This is Brendan Ford, and we will see you guys next week.